All right. Hello, everyone. We're gonna
Hello.
wave. Everyone wave. Okay, cool. Hey, all right. We are here for TCL-65 week 6. Oh, and Isaiah made it. Cool. We're just talking about how awesome it was that Isaiah let us all know about possible connectivity issues ahead of time. And then look at that surprise. Um, oh, whoa, cool. Uh, we have a
It's all
special
half done.
special guest from a land far away. So yeah, today we're gonna start it off with Isaiah giving us the demo from his phone. Um, and so it'll all be a screen share. Um, no, yeah. So we'll start things off with demos, and then we will have a retro, which we should just be getting super good at this point. And then we'll talk about our very last issue, which is a special extended issue, and a lot of fun. So cool. Let's do this. Who wants to show off their work first? We'll go with who had issue, was it 11?
Think we
All
did
right.
right, Patty.
Okay, yeah.
Let me share my screen. Okay.
Okay, so
See everything?
yeah, I can see it. Yes.
All right, cool.
Sorry. Our issue this week was to create like delete functionality for each list item and a delete item button. Let's see, the acceptance criteria was that the list item component renders a button that allows the user to delete an item from their list when clicked. And clicking the delete button prompts the user to confirm that they really want to delete the item and that the delete item function in Firebase has been filled out and deletes the item from the Firestore database. Okay, yeah, so we can go through the code first. Basically, in list item JSX, we added, you can see on line 39, we added a button with the for deleting. And so this will render next to the, as you can see in the demo screen, it renders right next to each list item. And then we added the handle delete function on line 22. And we used this window confirm code, which was linked in the issue. So we were able to kind of just follow that. It was really straightforward. So that was great. And then basically in that parens, do you really want to delete name? It'll ask you if you really want to delete the list item you've clicked delete on. And then whether you click OK or not, it kind of treats the OK or cancel as the if else clause. Like if it OK, then it will break into this if clause where we imported delete item, which is a function that we built out. And then we passed in the list ID and the ID, which is the item's ID. So then in, let's see, Firebase JS, we can see that delete item function on line 106. And there you can see it's getting the list token and the item ID just as we passed it in. And then, oh, this isn't actually the updated one, as Isaiah suggested doing an if else or some error handling. We also built pretty simple try catch block around it. And so it tries to do that, await delete docs imported from Firebase. So again, we kind of followed the documentation to figure out what the arguments were to get it to identify that exact item, which as you can see is kind of like declaring the database, the list token, and the item ID. And yeah, oh, then we have like a catch in our like final branch that will eventually be merged with the code that just currently just console logs if there's an error. Oh, and then the last thing we did in the code was, as you probably noticed in the PR, I just added that it prints the list token on the list page. And that actually was just for us, so we didn't have to look into dev tools each time. But I noticed, I think Mike or Matthew were like, yeah, the user should see this, and that is probably true too. Okay, yeah, so now we can demo, which
All right. Here's our page, right? How do we demo it? Delete. Test me and Shannon. We go wait. What list are we on? Flat waxy. Okay. Where'd it go? Here it is. My Zoom controls are in the way, of course. What did we delete? Test me and Shannon, right?
that sounds right.
I think that's what it was. Well, let's find it. So there's that. Oh, well, it would be gone. Hold on a second. Let's pick one. I'm doing a bad demo. That just says test, and there's probably 50 of them. Muffin mix. All right. Hi. Zoom controls again. Love it. Okay. Muffin mix. Literally, my Zoom is over the list. Hold on. I'm unprepared. Okay, so we saw muffin mix. We're gonna delete the muffin mix. A little pop-up because are you really sure? Yes, I'm totally sure. I don't want muffin mix. And then we'll come back and muffin mix is gone. Did that demo work? Does everyone understand? Okay, cool. Yeah, any questions?
I have one. You said that you showed the list token.
Mhm.
Any thoughts as to why? I'm asking because I did not show the list token when I did this, and it sucked. And I want to know if you understand why it sucks.
We just couldn't find the list. Like we kept trying to test our thing, and it's like, my God, there's so many lists, and we don't know which list, and it's like some, random 3-word string. And so that was really the only reason, because we were just like, oh my God, like let's just figure out what list we're on so we can see if something's actually deleting. I think that was the whole idea behind it, right, Patty? It was like kind of just selfish and organized, like so that we could figure out if our thing worked, if our function works.
And like forward thinking, do you have any plans to use this list token? Are you, because there's a whole bunch of functionality. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I know that it's the beginning of thinking about all that stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
it is. Yeah,
Like,
it definitely is.
are you going to add other people to your list? Are you gonna, you can't do it without the list token showing, which is why I'm like, it's a big deal.
There's definitely a lot that can go forward with showing the list token. And we definitely need to hook up and figure out all of us what we're gonna do, because it feels like just like one of the most obvious things that you would always want the list that you're on to be displayed. It's like a mystery list. That's not what we're going for. So I can imagine, I don't know what we could do with that.
Very
But
cool. I
that's
like
the
your
reason
demo.
we put it there. What do you think, Patty?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we could do some things with it. Actually, when we created it, I thought we would just delete it eventually. But that I think that's great too, to not.
The adding people, Nicole, that's so interesting, that little thought, because like, what if my kid wants to have access to the list because, he needs toothpaste or whatever. Oh, there's a chat.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I mean it's totally it's a feature in itself. It makes the whole thing shareable. And I really love that when sometimes functionality comes out of as you're using it that you're like, oh, actually, this makes it easier to use. So that was really, really great. My only question here is, how was Simulate Error? And did you pick that up at the grocery store? Is that pretty good? Hey, ooh.
Yes.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, really, really great work, y'all. Any additional questions or comments? All right, cool. Yeah, and a little bit of navigator.clipboard action would be super awesome. Yeah, cool.
Not saying for this project, but just yeah,
Yeah.
very cool feature.
All right, let's hear from the other group.
Okay.
Sorry, y'all, my cat took it out. I wasn't paying attention. My bad.
I didn't notice the cat at all.
I was still sharing my screen.
Oh,
All right. Should I do this? Should I?
yeah.
Or Isaiah, you can speak if you'd like.
Hey, Lydia. So yeah, if you have any questions or need me to chime in, I can still chime in too.
Okay. I will share there. So we changed. Here, I'll show you this. This is our shopping list that has been sorted. It's sorted so that items that are past their next purchase date are at the top. Items that are 60 days since their last purchase date are at the bottom. And each other item is sorted according to its next purchase date first, and then alphabetically. And if I click an item, maybe it'll move. No, it didn't. I don't know. That's okay.
I saw a move.
Oh, did it? Okay. And here in our code, we went to Firebase, or firebase.js, and added this function, compare purchase urgency. And compare purchase urgency is referenced by a sort run up here on the data in use shopping list data, so that all of the shopping list data that's used by the application has been sorted before anything else happens. Sorting compares against the current date, and it determines if either of the item is being sorted. Like the way that sorting works is that two things go in and are compared. And so this applies each rule to each item so that the inactive items end up with return a higher number, which moves them later in the list. And items that are that have more dates between the current date and the next purchase date will move later in the list. And items that are higher alphabetically will return later in the list. And they're ordered so that inactive items are sorted first, and then dates, and then alphabetically if the dates are the same. We also made changes to list item to identify and calculate those date differences and assign a name to them. we use the names from the issue: overdue, soon, kind of soon, not soon, and inactive. And went through and assigned those and gave them each item a class assignment right here. So there is this span in the label currently. That made sense. I'm wondering at this point if we should take that back out of the label so that it's scrollable, but I don't know. It does make sense in there. With this current functionality, I'll show you what I mean. If I click this, not soon, it checks off cogs. That's the impact of it being in the label. It's a span, it has its class name set to indicator class and its name set to determine item indicator. And I also made, we also made changes to CSS for the list item. And that involved adding, I used color variables because we had to create 2 sets of colors because of the app supports light mode and dark mode. So there are, the default is actually dark mode. So first we came up with these dark mode visible color variables or color names and assigned them to each of the indicator values. And then went back and added a media query, and this to identify whether it prefers the light color scheme and use a different set of colors there. So here, these are the light preference or light mode colors. And if I switch to dark mode, then it shows up in these colors. I think that's it. Is there anything else, Isaiah, or any questions?
No, that sounds pretty good. You explained it
Okay.
super well.
Cool.
Yeah, that was super awesome. That that styling and switching between dark mode and I'd never seen media queries used to get dark mode versus light mode before. That was super crazy awesome, and using variables within CSS. I'm just very impressed. Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah. I actually found the light mode in their existing styling for the project.
Oh,
because
really?
I kept noticing that my screen always had like a white background and everyone else's always had a black one.
Mhm.
So there had to be something going on.
Cool. Yeah. And I know initially there were some issues with the dark mode colors being on light mode, and there were some accessibility concerns. Can you talk a little bit about that? And like maybe how did you fix that?
That's why I added the color variables.
Yeah.
I could share again and talk about how I structured that if you'd like. I'll do that because I think that's the easiest way for me to do it. So here I use color variables for dark mode in list item because for whatever reason, that is the default in the current styling of the app. So that means that when these items down here, these rules reference a variable, they reference the variable here. Here, I'll close this so that this one at the very bottom is visible. So this indicator for soon will reference soon here, the first color variable declared. But then if it is in light mode, then it will see this prefers color scheme light and call or display this version of soon. And that way we can also use those colors in a different way or change them if we need to without digging through the code too much. That's why I chose the color variables.
Yeah, really, really impressive.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
That's so awesome, you guys. This is so rad. Like, I can't even. I'm
This,
just like, it looked cool when we were looking at it, like, but this is so awesome job. Dude, color variables? What? We could use them later. I love it.
yeah, it's really fun. I really like color variables. I've been using them for a while. They're super fun. And they make it really easy to change like all of your styling at once, which is nice. But this issue was really, it seemed really hard. And we'd look at it and we'd be like, but then every time, every step, it would be like when one of us wasn't quite sure what to do, the other one was able to take over, like over and over again. It went really well. It was very collaborative.
That
That's
was
so
gonna
cool.
be my question because I saw just like I think we worked on our issues on the same day, and I saw that you did it really fast. And then I looked at the code and was like, whoa, this it's like you knew how to do it before you did it based on how
did.
long it took. It's really impressive.
I really feel like this would have taken like probably a couple of days if it had just been me.
Yeah, that's
I don't know about
awesome.
Isaiah, but
I think
yeah.
we didn't take that much longer, and ours was like so much simpler. And that's why I was like, what? Wow, this is incredible that you all pulled this off so fast. And like it seemed effortless from, the PR point of view, which is probably not a very accurate perspective of how hard something is. But yeah,
I
great
just,
job.
I just wanted to chime in. Yeah, I wanted to shout out Lydia because we got the notice about the dark and the light colors, but I was already in Yosemite, so she was able to take over. So she totally gets the credit for the variables. So just wanted to give it to her. But yeah, overall this week, yeah, she was an awesome partner. So.
Yeah, Isaiah, you're an awesome partner too. It was really good.
Yeah, so awesome, bringing tears to the eyes. And it's so cool because I think oftentimes people look at pairing and mobbing and these kind of collaborative things as things that slow engineers down. And we can see that when it's done really well, that it actually speeds things up and gets things. Ultimately, you usually end up with a better product. So it's super great. Cool. Well, really, really great work, everyone. So we are now going to move into retro mode. So I will share the board. So here's our week 6 retro board. Matt has done a great job adding a few, and I really like how Matt adds with his name towards the front. If you feel comfortable doing that, I think that's super cool. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. Does that time work for everyone? We like 5 minutes? Yeah? Okay. And then after we're done, we're going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to look at last week's after we're done and also see how we did. But before we look at things, we will get started on the board. So I'm starting a timer here, and then I'll stop talking. Timer's been started. We're at the halfway point. Last 20 seconds. Cool, John. All right. How's everyone doing? Need more time or feeling good? Okay, cool. I will share my screen then. Okay, so I think oftentimes in retros it's a good idea to take a look at the week past or the previous retro and see like how do we do on things that we talked about doing. So terms of like people asking for help. If we think back 2 weeks ago, we had the whole thing where it was like there was I think Shannon and Isaiah had ended up stuck for a bit on something, and then we ended up solving it, but there was a lot of time. So how do we feel like we're doing now in terms of people being able to reach out to the group for unblocking and stuff? I feel like really pretty good.
Better. Better.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially Lydia and Isaiah talking about how they were able to lean on each other a bit. So that was really great. So I think we're doing A+ there. Bringing future things that we want in the project board. I feel like I've been seeing things being added. Am I right? Yeah. So that's super cool.
I was adding some issues when they came up. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. Okay, asking for help sooner. Brainstorming on potential tests. We in office hours talked a little bit about tests. And so I think been starting to think about that stuff. And that's also not something to like, it's not in our AC or anything like that, just total extra credit and just for learning. But I feel like starting to think about that. Having code get merged before weekly syncs. We can talk about that a little bit, but I think we're kind of there's still some room for improvement there. Checking in with the partners, make sure that they feel heard during partner programming. How do we feel in our pairing sessions? Do we feel like there's a lot of give and take? Yeah. Cool, awesome, great work. Let's see. Yeah, more stuff about reaching out when we're stuck, and I feel like we're doing great there. Okay, so what I'd like to do, we'll see how much time this takes. But let's start over an appreciation, and if we can have everyone, rather than me just talking about them, I'm gonna ask people to talk about their own. I already mentioned it, but I really appreciated Isaiah's communication about upcoming trip. Like I said, I feel like it's never an issue if you, so long as you communicate things. And I think that this group in general is just doing such a great job of communicating. So yeah, they're great. Matt, do you wanna?
Yeah, I had a last minute notification from my dad that he was going to be nearby. So I communicated that to Nicole and Mike, and they were super, of course, go see your family. We got you. So I just really appreciated them covering for me last week when I was out of town.
Absolutely. Cool. Nicole?
I had the same thing. Mike and I miscommunicated. It was my fault about office hours on Tuesday. And I got a message after being like, where were you? Instead of a message 5 minutes in being, where are you? Which is incredible. And I am so grateful. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And to your credit, we did talk about me talking about in tests and stuff in office hours. So I definitely don't think it was an issue. And we were yeah. So cool. Patty, you can talk about both of these here.
I am grateful for the accessibility conversation and Nicole's presentation last week. And then it was great praying to Shannon. I felt like what Lydia had said about her and Isaiah, although our issue wasn't as complicated, it felt like it went similarly for us. We were just kind of like, oh, I know what to do here. And then when that ended for that person, then it was like, oh, I know what to do here in this gap. So it was like cool to kind of like volley the task and like be one programmer. Okay.
Awesome. Cool. And accessibility comment here.
Yeah, that's me. I just think it's really, really cool. And I almost put this in what goes well. But I think it's so cool to watch you guys plan this stuff with like accessibility as part of how you think of things rather than like this thing that we do afterwards because we legally have to. I left our meeting last week and cried because I was like, oh my gosh, I live this stuff day in, day out, and I have to use it because I don't have a choice. But watching other people incorporate it as part of their life from the beginning is like, I'm just really grateful.
Yeah, total +1 there. And Lydia.
Yeah. You showed me how to use Playwright during office hours, and that was cool. And I have some tests that I should probably just push to the main branch so that people can give them a try.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, and I really enjoyed chatting about tests, and Playwright's so much fun to work with. And thanks for bearing with the roughness of us dealing with it. Cool. So what went well? Matt, exciting stuff.
Yeah, sure. I have a few here, so I'll go fast through mine. Yeah, it was kind of a late night. I'm glued to my phone with my sister-in-law giving birth to a boy last night. So that was exciting. It sounds like it all went well. And then just yeah, I love kind of during the week, clicking in the pair threads and just, make sure everything's going well. And there's just always a ton of communication and collaboration and, dropping of like Zoom links to, meet up. And it's just so cool seeing that. It makes our lives so much easier. And I really appreciate that, like, you're communicating in public. So we know that you guys are, you're not stuck and we don't know, which is hard. So it's great seeing all the back and forth. And then, I haven't had a chance to watch last week's sync. I did want to before this, but I did click through a few of the resources that Nicole shared in Slack, and it's always nice catching up. My company has a long way to go in it's very old legacy code, so it could definitely be brought up to speed. And so I always learn more that I then try to bring to my team to get our code more and more accessible. And so I love all those resources. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
That
And
one,
again.
that one's me. I'm just seconding that you guys have incredible communication. Also, Matt, you'll make your company money, make your stuff more accessible.
Yeah. Cool. Shannon.
So time management went really well this week. In the appreciation line, I made a comment about working with Patty this week, and I felt the same thing when Isaiah and Lydia were talking about how well they worked collaboratively. Like her and I, when we were done, were like amazed at how much we went back and forth. Like I'd be stuck and I'd be like, I don't know. And then she would jump in, and literally like play for play is how we solve our issue this week. And I like pair programming in general, overall, with Lydia, Isaiah, and Patty has been the bomb. Like this is I don't know about any other groups, but I feel like we all really have done well, and I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful that we managed our time well this week. We did great. We didn't get stuck. And I know that if we got stuck, we definitely would have been floundering around for 24 hours. Learned that one. So that went really well. Time management was on point. And it was because I had a partner. It definitely was because we did it together. So I appreciate that.
That's so great. And also I love that if you look at our prior retro, like time management was the issue that we're really struggling with. And then now to hear that it's going so well means we're a very great self-correcting group. Just agile and generally amazing. Yeah. I heard this being said before, but sharing in public and being transparent, it's so hard to do. And it's so easy to just send things as DMs, and you think that, coordinating, a Zoom room that everyone doesn't need to see this or whatever. That stuff, it seems like private stuff, but actually doing it in public is great. And I love that everyone's been doing that. So yeah, really wonderful. Patty.
Mine are just really repeats of my appreciation, but yeah, that accessibility presentation and last week, and then I think I just said all of these in appreciation repeats.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of these are it's tough the lines between appreciation and what's going on blur. Lydia.
Just what I had said before, collaboration went really well this week. I feel like this whole time, at least for me, I've been trying stuff and maybe it's worked and maybe it hasn't. And it's kind of like I feel like I've gotten better and worse at collaborating. And this week it felt like it was really coming together, which is exciting.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so for the last part of this, we're going to break a little bit from our format because we have 5 minutes left. I want to make sure that we are respectful of time. So let's just look through the what could be improved things. And then oftentimes within a retro, you'll kind of group things together to see if there's common themes. So there are dependent issues, dependent on issues as guidelines, need a firm idea moving, firm of what we'd like to accomplish. So actually, I know I said we were breaking it from our format, but could get a little color on this. Who wrote that one? Okay, Nicole.
All I was saying was that moving forward, which is what we're about to do, we've been so dependent on these project briefs, and like we hit every single one of them, and sometimes those little things in there give us a clue as to what to do next. We're about to go without it. So like we really need to sit down and have that conversation about what are we building and why.
Cool. Yeah, and that one segues really well into the this week's issue, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so grouping things, I see a few things about tests and accessibility. But yeah, so tests, again, those are not part of the requirements here, and especially given that we're trying to make sure that we're not overextending ourselves. I think tests are wonderful and I love them, but no need to kill yourself writing any or anything like that. I think I think both mine and Matt's are kind of similar, that maybe we could make sure that we have like a clear pipeline to main, and make sure that main is like merged in, or all of our issues are merged into main before we start. And I think it would be good if we could try to get the merges happening before our weekly syncs. But with that said, I will say everyone's demos have not been super affected by this or anything. So yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because I was over here, but Lydia, were you able to merge it into main? Because I thought I saw a notification. Okay.
Yeah, I merged it. It was merged.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that, Lydia. Yeah, and then Shannon, accessibility. There may be some talks that we can have about it, but I will say I think that I think it's been great to see that it's seen as as like not an add-on. I think like Nicole was saying, but something that we're handling at the time before code goes in. But anything specific you wanted to mention about that?
I just want to make sure that we think of every part. Like, I don't know. Like, I personally haven't thought about, like, are there areas where we could improve or do better? And because of the talk and the way that it affects people, I just threw it there. Like, I definitely want to make sure we're doing the best. And I think it's super cool, just really quick, because I am a new junior developer coming out of the gate, thinking the way that you guys taught me something here, like you particularly, Nicole, thinking about accessibility while you're building things. So I've been thinking about it a lot. I think that's why I put that there.
Yeah, that's so great. And yeah, I think I'll like take a look at some of the resources that Nicole had shared in ways that if you want to make sure that things are accessible, to take a to be able to verify it. Okay, things we learned. Just real quickly, anyone want to also, Lydia, we have don't put off reaching out when it feels awkward. Awkward is okay. Totally second that. Awkward's like the best in reality. That's usually when you learn the most. Learned how to use window.confirm, Shannon, how to import more delete doc from Firebase backend. Really cool. Love learning those things. I learned that Playwright, I never messed around with Playwright with Windows, and we got to do that. And it's surprising because it's a Microsoft product. Playwright comes from Microsoft team, but we had a little bit of trouble with Windows, so that was fun. And looks like Matt learned a little bit Playwright too, and Playwright's awesome. Yay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to hand it off now to Matt, I believe, to talk about our last issue.
Yep. Let me share my screen. See if I can do the full screen. So when I tab, it should be showing. Cool. So that should be up right now. Yeah, so I don't know where these weeks have gone. I opened this up this morning to brief myself on the issues, and there's essentially one left. I was like, where's 14? And then I clicked into it. I was like, the last 2 weeks of the project will function a little differently. So that quickly answered my question. So yeah, issue number 13 covers basically 4 issues, relative to how we've been working, which is awesome. And it really gives you the opportunity to expand on styling, layout. Basically, if you're UI minded and you really enjoy presentation, like this is gonna be like your favorite time. And when I was watching Lydia do all the CSS variables, I'm like, cool, you're gonna be able to reuse that and create new things like that. So awesome that you've already got that started. So yeah, I'll try not to read this word for word since it's pretty lengthy, but essentially it'll be functioning differently. You're gonna self-organize around a lightweight design process to come up with the polished look and feel. This will require you to make decisions together as a whole team. So I haven't done this one for a while, and it's been different since last time I mentored. So Nicole and Mike, if you want to let me know, I'm assuming we're just gonna assign all 4 people to this one. And then, so we have a process outlined here, which is our best suggestion for how to proceed. But this is very much your opportunity to kind of design the next 2 weeks how you want to. And you can incorporate, I did see, like Patty mentioned, there's a few kind of update, fix it issues. So that can be incorporated during these next 2 weeks. And so you get to create issues yourself and kind of order them based on how you want to implement them, and which is really fun and something that you might do with the company. I create bug issues all the time, so it's really cool seeing Patty do that with the other issues that popped up as you've been going through this project. But yeah, so you'll notice, as I mentioned, last issue on the board for the most part. And it's for you to write your own stories and complete the implementation. But of course, if you get stuck, we're here to help you guide you through writing any issues, or if there's anything that we see that maybe could have a little polish as you go through this. So the design process, kind of create like what tone you want for the app. And so there's a few different ways of doing that. One of which is just kind of write down a few words that best capture how you want a user who stumbles upon your app to perceive it. And so there's a few examples here, like fun, clean, ironic, business-like. And then there's a link to some other really great examples. So, like outdoorsy or retro, romantic, romantic shopping app. But yeah, so a lot of great ones that you can combine and make it feel like your own. And in addition to that, I don't know if anyone's ever created a mood board before. Oh, nice. I like Patty's suggestion. Mood board before, but they can be very helpful as well. And so there's a link here, which I'll very quickly kind of open up and just touch on. This link has 4 reasons to create a mood board. So things like establishing a strong foundation, clarifying the vision. And this is kind of an example of where a mood board might be. So maybe like a color palette, a few photos that kind of have the feel, that kind of represent the feel of what you're going for. This one has like a barn door and some comfort food. And so this one, they all feel, you can kind of get the gist of the whole feeling of it when you look at these. Mood boards also make collaboration easy. And so everyone who's pitching in is on a similar wavelength of what you're going for. And then if you're involving kind of other stakeholders, outside clients, it involves them for the process early on too. And so, yes, but feel free to read through that more, especially if you haven't worked on a mood board before and that's something you want to do. And then the last few here, decide on the fundamental elements of your design. So that includes typography. Google Fonts has a lot of great options. I believe you can just CDN the fonts into the app if you want, or you could probably install them as well. But something kind of smaller, lightweight like this, probably just do a quick CDN. Colors, yeah, making sure they're accessible for both the light mode and dark mode. And I know that we already touched on that in Mike's review. So great thing to keep in mind. And I think when you like inspect, you do a quick inspect of elements, you know, they kind of show you that like accessibility, contrast, and keyboard, you know, they show you accessibility things right there. So you always want that green check mark on the contrast with your colors. And then yeah, iconography, imagery. So you can get some free icons. Looks like from Canva on this link. There's other places too, but that's a perfectly good one. And then yeah, coding from scratch or integrating a framework. Pros and cons to both. From scratch, it's yours, you're creating it, you get to set the structure of it. You're not kind of being dictated to by the framework, and so you have a lot more control. However, the framework does bring with it a lot of just very quick plug and play type things. Accessibility is often incorporated in the features that the frameworks bring in. So there's definitely trade-offs. So it's up to you all what you want to do. If you do want to go with a framework, a few things to consider: the documentation, ease of integration. You know, some are going to be better with accessibility than others, and then yeah, how activeness of the community, so how maintained they are. And then a few examples. Some of these you may have heard of: Bootstrap, Chakra, Material, Semantic, and Tailwind CSS. And so yeah, with 2 minutes to spare, that's this next 2 weeks. And I did want to just very quickly touch on, we had an amazing offer that Nicole, I think, was helping facilitate with somebody from, where is he from? Apple, maybe. But in terms of he could do like a design review for us. Nicole, do you mind just quickly, do you know where we got with that?
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to move ahead with it. I was sort of thinking, the way that I've seen this whole process work best, and like to not to step on your toes, is that I'm assuming that people here are going to want to go think about what they're going to do, and we're probably going to have to regroup on what we're doing as a group on Tuesday in office hours. So that would be a time to sort of decide who's doing the design. You do need one person or several people to do it, and it kind of sucks because if your idea wasn't designed, you know, you kind of got to rely on somebody else. But this person is willing to come in and take a look at what we've done and give us feedback on what works and what doesn't, and can help a lot. They're Andrew's friend, but we do have to give them a heads up. So whoever ends up taking on the design part of this, one, you're a superhero because I'm terrible at design, and two, could schedule in with this person to do a design review. Her name's Matthew.
And so this is like after design has been, that the group has kind of done some of the work and then taking a look at how it's going and providing feedback. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would need something or like some kind of loose idea. And I'm sure that he could help you no matter where you were in the process, but I would want to personally come with something.
Cool. And then in terms of coordinating that, we can just do that in the Slack channel.
Yeah, we'll just ping him and let him know that like 100% our group wants it, which I think it sounded like we did when we sort of had asked. Is there any opposition? Okay, so then I'll ping him in the Slack channel and then we can organize with him in that discussion there. I'll do it right now.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, and sorry, I know we're like pretty much at time, but just real quickly, what I've seen work really well in the past for groups is like getting together real quick, talking about some words and like things that you want to do, breaking up, do mood boards, and then coming back and like discussing the mood boards with each other, and then seeing like what elements you like and stuff like that. This kind of ideation is super duper fun. And yeah, and then as you're doing it, feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions. I know that this is a lot. So we're always here to help support. But cool. All right. Well, great work this week. And I'm looking forward to seeing continued awesome work. So yeah. All right.
Were there any final questions about, I
Yeah.
know we're out of time, but any questions about that structure? I know it's more fluid. And so I hope I explained that the best, but
I have a question. Will you guys make a pair bot for all 4 of us?
I can.
And then we can all
If it works out, you know,
there?
honestly, I'll make it for all 4 of you. And then if it comes up that like 2 of you are working on something, 2 people want
Right.
to go do testing and 2 people want to do creative, like whatever it is, let me know
Right.
and I'll make another one. Because it's
Right,
you
cool.
saw it last week. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, awesome. Rad.
Yeah. Or you can make one actually. Definitely can.
yeah, apparently it's not an automated bot. Like I thought.
Wait, I have a question. So this 2 weeks is for everything to finish the app, right? In terms of visuals, but then also like the added features or anything else that we were gonna implement, right?
Yeah. You could finish it on your own after. Like if you had other things that you wanted to do, especially if you're applying for jobs, you probably want to do 1 or 2 features that is your own. But yeah, also I should mention here that one of you at the end of all this, if you want to have it exist, we delete it after I think it's 12 weeks. Mike, do you know?
Yeah, somewhere around there. There's usually a point where someone's like, wait, where'd Firebase go?
Yeah, so you're gonna want to like create your own Firebase instance and migrate it over and then like host it on Netlify or something so people can use it, because the goal of this is for you to find jobs that make you really happy. So let's use it for that.
And so we are still meeting next week. We're still have there's like communication for devs module, and then the final week will you'll be able to show off the app. Cool.
These
All right,
2
well,
weeks are like the crunch time weeks.
Yeah. Any additional questions? Just reach out in Slack. And yeah, we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.